Hello everyone, today I will be talking about this small unknown show. It's called Arcane and it was made by this indie company, Riot Games. I don't know if you've ever heard about it. Okay, no, jokes aside. So, today I will be talking about Arcane. Arcane is a show that has been streaming on Netflix. It is made by the company Riot Games and brought to life in animation by the French animation studio called Fortiche. This show was actually in the works since 2015 when a bunch of Riot employees had this idea to make a show based on the world of League of Legends. And clearly they succeeded. They have made one of the best shows in modern day history, not to mention one of the best shows in animation history. Like it's unreal just how much this show has done for a lot of our aspects in the art industry and stuff. But let's not get into that. Let's talk about the show and its 2 seasons and how they fare against each other, and come up with a conclusion. What do we think about this show? What is there to talk about it? Why is it so good? And why do so many people like it? So this is going to be my video about Arcane. I have to tell you that there are going to be a lot of spoilers. So I would definitely recommend you watching the show before watching this video. And I hope you enjoy. Firstly, I'll be talking about the setting in which Arcane Season 1 is set. Also Season 2, but yeah. Okay, so Season 1 is set in this part of the world of Valoran. I don't know if you know any of League of Legends lore, but it's kind of this whole world where they have their own continents, and the show is set in these 2 cities, the city of Zaun and the city of Piltover. They're kind of in the middle of 2 continents on the map of Valoran. I don't know if the continuity of the show is the same, but yeah. So let's start with the city of Piltover. The city of Piltover is the city of progress, a place where there are a lot of scientists and inventors, and the city itself is very modern. People live modest lives and they're pretty rich. Unlike the city of Zaun, also known as the Undercity, or the city of Iron and Glass, where people live in poverty. They use a lot of illegal substances and don't even have enough money or food to survive. They live horrible lives, and yet nobody does anything about it. It's like a place of war, a place of distress, discomfort. It's not a beautiful city by any means, but even in those conditions, there's still a lot of scientists and inventors, just unlike the ones working in Piltover. The ones in Zaun usually have way crueler techniques to try and make their inventions come to life. The setting is compelling. We have these 2 cities which are very different from each other, yet also very similar. And in the League of Legends lore, these cities are actually placed one on top of the other. Piltover is above Zaun, while Zaun is below the ground, and it has this elevator thing which people use to go up and down. And the air in Zaun is tragically polluted, and it's one of the reasons why people have it so hard living down there. But in the show, the cities are not placed that way. They're actually divided by a river, and there is a bridge which will be very important for the show, and it's one of the most important landmarks in the show itself. Of course, the bridge I'm talking about is the Bridge of Progress, and really referred to as the Bridge of 2 Cities. The thing that it literally does, bridge 2 cities. And of course, the main theme of the show is that there's conflict between these 2 cities, since some people get to live great lives up in Piltover. I mean, not up, yeah, they're set side by side, I'm sorry. So some people get to live in Piltover and just have great lives, while others in Zaun have to fight for their life every single day. And one of those very important people down in Zaun is Vi. Vi is one of the main characters in the show. she's actually, I mean, I guess she is the main character alongside her sister, which I was talking about shortly. But yeah, it all kind of starts with Vi, actually. Vi is the perfect representation of the fight between these two cities, and she is the person who hates Piltover from beneath her guts. She will do anything to make it so that they're equal, so that she, her sister, and her brothers have the chance to live in this better world than they're used to. I mean, they have spent their whole lives living in this hole, so of course she has hatred for Piltover. And so that's how the show starts, actually. Vi, her sister, and their two brothers, I mean, not biological brothers, but they're kind of like little family, go to steal something from a tip they got from one of their friends in Zon, and they successfully do it. They break in, they break out, and they think that, yeah, this was a great mission. This was a great step forward to like get something for ourselves, to have a chance at a better life, you know. But not everything goes great, since they kind of went into the home of an inventor who had some illegal stuff that he bought from Zon. And so, I mean, I don't know if they're from Zon, but I think that it was hinted that the gems were bought from Zon. But anyway, this inventor had gems which were made of some like magical matter, and on impact they explode. And so while robbing the place, the little sister, known as Powder, kind of drops one of the stones, and well, she blows up like the building. Of course, people in Piltover are not happy about this, so they get chased by the police, also known as the enforcers in Piltover. And yeah, they manage to escape, but then they're also attacked in Zon by people who want the treasures. Like, it's so absurd that they have to like worry about people in Piltover, but at the same time people in Zon, because the cities are just like so much in shambles. But okay, never mind. And in an attempt to save herself from this one mean bad guy, Powder, who was carrying the loot, drops it and runs away, as she uses it as a distraction. So her brothers aren't really happy about it, especially the bit, I don't know if he's bigger, but like he's taller, the taller brother. His name is Milo, and he constantly picks on Powder, as he calls her a jinx, since she has jinxed a lot of like jobs that they had in the past. And Powder doesn't take kindly to this, but Vi is always there on her side. Now, this is the first scene in the show, like it's the first episode, kind of. I think that there's a bit more to the episode itself, but I think that this is enough for people to like understand where the story starts. And now let's talk about the other things that are in the show, and the other things that come from this first situation that started everything, of course. We learned that the father of the four children is actually this guy named Vander, and he used to fight for the Undercity and in this revolution that they had in the past, but he stopped because he didn't want to see any more people get hurt. So now he's kind of an underdog. He is the bartender in this one bar that is very popular in the Undercity, but he has like a lot of strength and a lot of people respect him, but his daughter Vi doesn't, because she wants to fight back, of course. So this makes tension between them, but also we have the fact that there's this one guy that is teased like a villain. He's this grumpy, I don't know if he's old, but he kind of looks pretty old, and slim. Bad guy. His name is Silco, as we find out in future episodes, but he used to be Vander's friend, and now they're in kind of bad terms and they want to kill each other. So yeah, here's actually the guy who sent the goons in Zon to go after the stash that the kids got. We also get a little bit of insight about the relationships that we have between the characters. We see that the inventor is called Jace, and he is this close friend with this little girl called, I mean not little, but yeah, this girl called Caitlin, whose mother is on the council of the city of Piltover, who, as I haven't mentioned, but the city of Piltover has a council. It had 7 council members. In the same way as their barons in Zon, they're kind of in charge of like the whole place, but they're not in charge like the council. They're just like the biggest mafia in Zon, I guess. That's how we can talk about them, but never mind. Beside the politics between these two cities, we actually learn that the most important theme that this show wants to talk about is actually family. More importantly, sisterhood through the characters of Vi and Jinx, or as we know her, Powder. These sisters have an unbreakable bond, as we see them be there for each other, even each other, but at the end of the day, it's not all about believing. Because of the crime that the kids committed, there's this one enforcer who actually works with Vander. She doesn't work with him, but they're close friends, and they talk about the situation between the two cities. So she tells him that she has to make an arrest, and he doesn't want to give his family away, so he is the one who volunteers to be taken away. But Silco uses this situation as he has this deal with the enforcer's partner, another enforcer called Marcus, who he uses to kill the enforcer, kill Vander's best friend, and then take Vander and kidnap him. And of course this upsets Vi, who is this leader to the kids, and she of course takes charge from that, and she makes this mission to save Vander. Goes great, honestly, but then Powder, who was excluded from the mission at first, thought that she might be able to help, and she actually creates a bomb using those gems that she stole from the place, as she kept the gems in her pocket while the statues she threw away fell into the ocean, but she still had these gems, and by using them she was able to create an explosion, but unfortunately it didn't save her family. It just made everything harder and worse for everyone. Her 2 brothers, Milo and Clagger, were killed in the explosion. Vi was wounded very badly, and her dad was, well, this is kind of the perfect time to talk about Shimmer, I guess, because, the way Silco is so powerful is because he has the scientist working for him. His name is Singed. I mean, it's in the lore. He actually tells his name like way later in season 2, but never mind. So he made this concoction that kind of gives people powers. I mean, they're not powers, but it kind of makes them monsters, and they kind of go wild, but they're also like very strong and like durable and stuff. And so in the fight, like in the place where Vander was kidnapped, so he kind of gets up and he fights Silco himself, but he gets stabbed. So he kind of falls off this like little bridge thing, and he falls onto a table like full of shimmer, and he drinks some of the shimmer so that he can help his family, and he does actually. He is the one who saves Vi, but he tragically dies, and Vi is kind of left alone there, crying her eyes out as she hears this faint voice in the background, and it's her sister. And her sister is bragging like, "Oh my god, Vi, my bomb worked, like it finally worked." And she was so proud of herself, but then she sees that Vi isn't happy about it. And Vi can't believe that her sister did that. Of course, she lashes out and she hits her. this makes Powder kind of have a mental breakdown, but Vi just goes to the side so that she can have a rest. But before that, she calls her Jinx, the thing that Milo always used to call her. And from here, we kind of have the whole dynamic from the sisters, as Vi is attacked while she goes to the side to calm herself, but yeah, she is attacked by Silco. He stabs her and he lets her there to bleed out and die, and he goes to Powder and he takes her and adopts her. But what he doesn't know is that the enforcer, Marcus, actually secretly comes and he saves Vi, but he puts her in a prison where she is locked away, far, far, far away from her sister. I think that now is a good time to mention that Arcane Season 1 and Season 2 is kind of divided in 3 chapters. The 3 chapters have their own 3 respected episodes, and now I finished Chapter 1 of Season 1, and yeah, you can see that it's a very emotional story. It's very raw. I actually didn't expect for it to be that gruesome for the first time when I was watching it, but I was honestly happy that they made this show so dark. I think that it really suits the whole style, the whole vibe that the show is trying to go for. And also with the start of Act 2, I just remembered that I said chapter, but chapter or act, it's the same, but they usually call them acts. So with the start of Act 2, there's actually a time skip, and it's about 7 years that have passed since we last heard of the sisters. Now we actually get our first look at Powder after the time skip, and we can see that she works for Silco now, and she's kind of a loose cannon actually, and now she goes by the name of Jinx, and she kind of resents her past as Powder, but it keeps on haunting her. So yeah, that's kind of awkward. While Vi, as I said, is in prison, but good for her is that there's this one enforcer girl called Caitlin. Yeah, so I mentioned that she's actually the friend of Jace, the inventor, who kind of becomes a big deal in Act 2 because he became one of the members on the council because of his invention of Hextech. He actually did that by going rogue and not listening to the council, who were about to throw him out of the city forever. But yeah, he is able to create Hextech with the help of Victor, who is this one inventor that comes from Zon but lives in Piltover. And so they come together and they create the future of Piltover as we know it by creating these hex gates, which Piltover uses to send their shipments in faster to the other nations. And yeah, that's why they become so innovative, and Piltover earns its spot on the map of Valoran. So Caitlin comes in here because she's investigating one of these shipments which were about to get stolen by Silco's accomplices. And yeah, she kind of isn't supposed to do it because her mother doesn't want her to be an enforcer, but Caitlin doesn't really care. And using her friend's power now, Jace's power, since she's on the council, she actually manages to make a visit to the prison, and she finds Vi there. Their dynamic is weird from the start. Not weird, but yeah, they don't really like each other, but Caitlin shows her a picture of a monkey that's actually Jinx's symbol, and Vi recognizes that, and that's how she actually wants to go with Caitlin to Zon so that they can explore about it and learn about Silco's plans and stuff. And so Caitlin takes in Vi and they go together to Zon, and yeah, they encounter a lot of obstacles in Zon, but at the end the sisters actually get the chance to reunite before being separated again, because well, we have these Firelight guys. They are actually not very relevant to the story of season 1, I guess, but they steal Vi and Caitlyn away from Jinx, as they thought that they were also working for Silco. But we find out in Act 3, actually, since this is the end of Act 2. So in Act 3, we find out that the leader of these Firelights is actually Echo, or Lil Man. Now, he is actually the one who gave them the tip about like Jace's place in the first act. So everything kind of starts from that, and we can see that he's very distraught with the situation around Powder and how she has changed a lot, and how even Vi has changed a lot since 7 years have passed. And so we find out that there might be a way to save both cities, and this is through Caitlyn, who says that she can talk to both her mom and her friend Jace, who are both on the council, to try and make like changes to Zaun so that they help the people who are in need, and there are a lot of those in Zaun. But this plan doesn't really work out, and a lot of people die again on the Bridge of Progress because Marcus comes here again, and of course he works for Silco. He ambushes our trio, but he sadly dies on the bridge by explosives set off by our favorite girl, Powder, aka Jinx. So yeah, she kind of gets in a fight with Echo on the bridge, and she explodes herself, but Silco is there to save her. And this is where she is taken to Singed, or the inventor that created Shimmer, who uses it on her and kind of gives her powers and stuff, and blah blah blah. So that's all I'm like going into stuff. But yeah, so the season actually ends with this big climax, since Silco made a deal with Jace that if he gives them Jinx, that Jace and the other council members will make Zaun an independent city. And so Jinx, of course, afraid, like kidnaps Silco. She also kidnaps Vi and Caitlyn as well, and she kind of like throws this whole tea party thing. And yeah, so she's kind of off the rails at that point, and the whole point of the tea party is for her to choose if she's going to be Jinx or Powder, and it's all in the hands of Vi, who is supposed to kill Caitlyn to like set her sister free from being Jinx, and of course that's like not normal. In the end, Silco dies by the hands of Jinx, who panics and accidentally kills him with her minigun, and so she is not happy about that, so she chooses to be Jinx, and she uses her rocket launcher weapon, which she was making throughout the whole series, and she blasts it at the council, and that's how season 1 ends. There's actually a lot of symbolism in Arcane, but I won't go into all of that. I honestly just wanted to mention that the cities are also known as sister cities, Piltover and Zaun, and they kind of like mimic a relationship between Vi and Jinx, and I think that that's perfect. I think that it's used very nicely, and I love that we don't just get sisterhood, but also brotherhood through the characters of Victor and Jace, and we also have mother-daughter between Ambessa and Mel, and then we also have father-daughter between Marcus and his daughter, and also Vander and Vi, of course, and also Silco and Jinx. So that's very interesting. I love that like all these characters parallel each other, and they like have something to add to each other, and I think that that's magnificent, and it's really built spectacularly. I just don't have any like bad regards towards that. So yeah, so all in all, I finished talking about Arcane season 1, and it's definitely 10 out of 10 in my book. I know that a lot of people don't like the pacing, so I might bump it down to 9.8, but it's not going lower than that. It's like actual perfection, a masterpiece. The finale is just awesome, amazing, perfect, and yeah, that's all I have to say about season 1. Just 30 minutes of me non-stop ranting, but yeah. So that's kind of the complete rundown of season 1. I know that I kind of went a bit too into detail, but it's okay, as long as you got the story. And so now we can talk about the symbolisms, the characters and stuff, and yeah, there's a lot. So I would actually start with the characters, and I'll start with Vi. Vi is actually one of the characters which I didn't like when I watched the season at first, and I remember like everybody liking Vi so much, and I was like, no, because of course I'm Team Jinx, but never mind. So why is Vi written so well? Because no matter if you like her or not, she is so strong, so badass, so cool, like so inspirational. She's so caring, she's so kind, and it's so sad. It's so sad to see like all those bad things happening to her because she tries so much and like the world is just against her, and it's truly heartbreaking. And also seeing her sister like go crazy day by day, it's not okay. It's not normal. Like I have mad respect for Vi as a character, and I really like her design. Her design compared to the one she has in League of Legends, oh my god, like they're not even on the same like playing field, you know. Like, I like the hairstyle, I like everything about it just screams great, perfect, awesome. She actually doesn't have a lot to do with Jinx. I mean, she does, but at the end of the day, their conversations and interactions are kind of limited. So I think that the most interesting thing about Vi is her dynamic with Caitlyn, and how they're like this great cop duo, good cop, bad cop, even though they're kind of both bad cops, let's be for real. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think that they make a great duo. I think that it's cool how Vi is this very cool, nonchalant girl, and then we have Caitlyn just there like being like so shy and like scared and stuff. Yeah, I mean, not scared actually. Yeah, we'll get back to Caitlyn. Let's talk about Jinx now. So Jinx is definitely my favorite character from Arcane. She is absolutely perfect, I fear. I love the way her sadness is portrayed. I love how she's like so crazy and fun and interesting, and she's such a deep character. Like she's not just like a Harley Quinn, and like, Harley Quinn is a deep character, but they underutilize her everywhere. But never mind. So Jinx is like so deep. She's like so strong of a character, and so sad because she thinks so little of herself, but she is very smart. She's practically an inventor. She figured out Hextech by herself. For comparison, Jace and Victor had to be in the lab, like one of the best labs, and like Piltover and stuff. Jinx had her room, and I don't know if you know her room, but it's like literally this dark cave thing. It's like a propeller of some sort which she lays on. I don't know, it's very weird. It's like a bat cave or something, but yeah, she uses literally only that to like figure out Hextech and make this ultimate weapon. Like she is very interesting, and her dynamic with both Silco and Sevica are great. I know that I haven't talked about Sevica, so now please don't clock me, but yeah, I will mention her briefly. And about the design, the same goes as Vi. I really like Jinx's design. I liked the League of Legends Jinx design, but I just think that the Arcane one is like much better somehow. Now, let's talk about Caitlyn. So Caitlyn Kierman, she's the daughter of a counselor. She's this enforcer, and I don't know, she doesn't have a major role in season 1, even though she's one of the main characters, but I have to say though, she is one of the kindest people. Like every time when she's on screen, you're like, you can do this, girl, like you go, like I'm rooting for you. You're such a nice and loving person, and you're genuinely a good person, even though like your whole life you've been taught that Zon and people from Zon are bad, but you're still here to help them, to help your own city, to help literally everyone. So I support her a lot. I really love her as a character, and I was very happy to see what they were going to do with her in season 2. All the other characters I didn't even mention a lot when I was talking about season 1, and it's not because I don't think that they're important, don't get me wrong, of course they are important, they're all kind of main characters, but I think that like these 3 are the most interesting of the bunch. And of course Silco, like Silco is a great villain, he's a mastermind, he's magnificent, like he's a manipulator, he's doing great at his job. But aside from him, like I'm not really getting anything specific from any of the other characters. Not that they're bad, but I will say like something short for everyone. I will say that I didn't really like Jace. He is very egotistical, and I mean that's his character, so it kind of makes sense, but I just didn't like him. Victor was a very interesting character. I did wish that they would do something a bit more with him in season 1 so that I could have a bigger connection to him, but I did enjoy him. He's very smart, he's very cool and chill guy, and everything that he says just kind of makes sense. Then we have Mel. Mel is also like a very interesting character. She's very manipulative and she has a cool backstory, and I really love her relationship with her mother, Ambassa, and we didn't get a lot of Ambassa in season 1. We will get a lot more of her in season 2, but yeah, she was also pretty cool. And yeah, then we also had Echo, and I don't really have any special thoughts for him in season 1. I think that he was nice, but they could have done more with him. Then we have Heimerdinger. I didn't mention him at all, so yeah, I'm kind of sorry for that, but I think that he was just like interesting. He was more of a plot device for Jace's arc, I fear, but yeah, he was great. Like I really love him. I think that he's very sweet, he's nice, and he's kind, and his character is just amazing, and I love him like going to Zon to like find out everything about the people who are there. And yeah, and then we have Savika, of course. I didn't mention her as well, but she's like Silco's right hand next to Jinx. She bickers a lot with Jinx, but she's very strong. She actually has a fight scene with Vi, and they're like kind of rivals and stuff, and yeah, she's just like loyal. I guess that's her trait, but that's all I have to say about her, and that's all I have about the characters of Arcane. So let's go into the symbolisms. And before I go into season 2, I wanted to talk briefly about the art and music. I won't go into detail about any of these topics because I think that a lot of people have talked about them, and I don't really want to add to it. So yeah, because I don't think that I have any like specific commentary about it. I just wanted to say that the art style is amazing. The show looks magical, mystical. It's like beautiful. I haven't seen anything like that in animation, and I was truly blown away by the animation, the scenery, like everything, the character design, as I stated previously, talking about the characters. And when it comes to music, I have to say that wow, the music of Arcane is like truly spectacular. Like I love the music. I don't listen to it every day, honestly, but I do have some of the songs in my liked songs on Spotify, and I have to say that out of both seasons, my favorite song is What Could Have Been. I think that song is truly a masterpiece. It's very depressing, but yeah, and I have to say that this section is about season 1 and season 2. I won't be talking again about the art in season 2 and the music on its own because I just think that it's done perfectly, and I have nothing more to add to it. Like those are my thoughts. Okay, let's go into season 2. So season 2 was set up by season 1. So it starts where season 1 ended, and that's with the rocket launch at the council. And so we see the aftermath of what happened, and we see like how it has affected both of the cities and the politics between the cities, and it's not really pretty. Not to mention all of the characters being out of touch with reality for a moment, since nobody is sure what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and they're just really mad and the council decides that they want to get Jinx. They want to get her back for what she did. Actually, Caitlyn is one of the characters who is most affected by this because her mother dies, and so of course she becomes a dictator. Like that's the ultimate plot line. But yeah, okay, jokes aside, honestly, I did really like Caitlyn this season. I think that it made a lot of sense for her to go so rogue so quick. Like, don't get me wrong, she is a nice person. She was a great person in season 1, like the nicest one there. But like, her mother died and she could have saved her. It was kind of her fault that her mother died, so I think that it makes a lot of sense for her to change so much. Plus, I love the fact that now she's more confident, she's more sure of herself, and we can see that like very clearly in season 2. And maybe they could have done something else with her character, because I know a lot of people really didn't like her character, but people somehow expected her to still be the same character from season 1, for her to remain being so nice. Like, guys, her mother died. Let's be for real for a second. It makes so much sense for her to go like villain ballistically, and she still isn't as cruel as she could be. Like, I think that they could have made her so much more evil if they wanted to. So yeah, to be fair, I didn't really like her relationship with Ambessa. I get it, because you know Ambessa has a very poor relationship with Mel, and so she can use this opportunity to be Caitlyn's mother figure. But still, I don't know, I feel like it kind of felt off. I didn't really like it. I don't think that it was bad. It made sense for the story, for the plotline, but I don't know, it was kind of weird. As for Vi in this season, honestly don't have a lot of things to say about her. I don't think that she was bad. I just think that she was kind of boring. Like, I didn't really care about her at all. I don't know. She had like this character arc, but it was so much less important than the other characters' character arcs, you know? And I feel bad because she used to be like the main character of season 1. Let's be for real, she was probably like the most important character there, and now she didn't even talk that much, which I think that is so sad because she was so underutilized. You could have done so much more with her. And I don't really have much of a problem with this. As I said, I didn't really like Vi the first time I watched Arcane, like the entirety of the show, so I was okay with it. But from a non-biased perspective, like, I think that we can all agree that she was kind of done dirty. It was not good. And not to mention that I actually watched a video about this. I don't remember what video it was, but they said that she didn't really win any fights this season. Like, all she did was get hurt. And that's like so sad, because when I recall like all the moments in the scene, I was like, yeah, you're actually right. Like, she was getting her ass handed to her, but she's supposed to be like this strong, independent character, and yet she only loses like what? Overall though, I don't think that Vi's character was horrible. I don't think that she was assassinated. I just think that there was a lot more potential. They could have done so much more with her character, but they kind of used it to elevate Jinx's character. Now, I know that a lot of people also didn't like Jinx's character in season 2. It's not that they didn't like her, it's just she was kind of off, I guess, and people didn't believe that she can like heal so fast because of Isha. I actually loved Jinx this season. I think that this was like the best of Jinx that we got. She was such an awesome character to see, like, from the beginning till the end. I really liked her story. I really liked her character arc. I feel like her connection with Isha was so real. It was so cute. It was so nice. And it makes sense. Like, honestly, it made sense to me at least. I know that depression and PTSD are very sensitive topics, and I'm honestly not the person who is supposed to talk about these, since I'm not well educated enough to dive deep in such serious topics. But I know how it feels to have somebody be the light in your life when things go bad. I think that a lot of people can agree with me on this. Like, you've had a bad period and either someone or something has helped you through it. It has really brought your spark back, you know? And I feel like that's what happened with Jinx. And a lot of people didn't like the fact that her and Vi became like close so fast, but it honestly makes sense. Like, I couldn't imagine them to have bickered even more. You know, I think that everything that happened just kind of made sense. It clicked. I know that it wasn't the smoothest click, but I think that it made sense. It was nice. I liked the narrative. I think that it was going well. And Now we have the other characters, and I don't really like where they went with them. So first we have Jace. I don't really know what to say about Jace. He was there. He was okay. I really didn't care if he was going to die, and like I think it was the 3rd episode of Act 1. But yeah, you know, he was nice. They could have done so much more with him, but at the same time, I didn't even like him from season 1. So I think that they did a great job at just keeping him Jace. I really did like his episode, episode 7, when he went to this other world where the world was overrun by the arcane powers and stuff. And I really liked that. I liked how it was kind of gory. Even though I know that a lot of people liked that episode for other reasons that I'll get into, but I like Jace's part as well. But after that, I don't really have much to say about him, honestly. Now, Victor. So, Victor was very weird. I didn't really like his character arc, to be honest. I feel like it was kind of weird. It was not bad. It was not good, though. I'm not sure. I honestly didn't really understand it, and I think that it kind of has to do with the way I perceive season 2, and I will talk about this later, but I think that Victor is kind of like the main problem of season 2. I know I was kind of weird and didn't stick as well in season 1, because most people agree that season 1 is better. So yeah. Okay, then we have Mel. Yeah, let's go with Mel. I didn't really care about Mel. I liked Mel in season 1. I think that she was great. I like that they tried to do something with Mel now to like make her more interesting in like a different way, but I didn't really like the Black Rose thing. And I know League of Legends lore, so I know what the Black Rose is. I know the lore behind it, the stuff, the story, but I don't know. I don't think that Arcane was the place to tap into that part of the story. That they were trying to tease something with it, that they wanted to go along with something so that they can use it in the future. But I don't think that Arcane was the place for them to do that, honestly. I didn't mind her having powers. I think that it kind of made sense from the beginning. So yeah, but I do kind of miss the fact that she was like so smart, intelligent, you know, manipulative. She knew how to use people as her pawns, and I think that that was very cool. But now she's just like, pew, 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 you know, like, okay, like, cool, I guess. And then we have Ambessa. I don't really like Ambessa at all. I feel so sad listening to what I've said, because I see that I'm very negative about the characters. But I don't think that any of the characters were bad. I just think that they could have done so much more with them, and that's how I truly feel about Ambessa. I get that a big part of her character was her connection with Caitlyn, but I didn't really like that. So in turn, I didn't really think much about her character. I think that it was okay, it was fine. It served its purpose, I guess, for the story, but that's all I have to say. And I know I haven't told the story of season 2 like I did for season 1, but I think that it didn't really make sense to tell the story of season 2. I will mention a couple of things that happened there, but I wanted to use this as an opportunity to talk more about the characters. So let me just proceed with that. Okay, next we have Heimerdinger. I think that I didn't talk about Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger was nice. I enjoyed him. I think that he was kind of a plot device for Echo, and it makes sense, but it was good. I quite liked it, I guess. Now, Echo was actually a pretty nice character this season. I love that they tried to incorporate him more into the story. I still think that we deserved a bit more Echo moments. I'm not a big Echo fan, honestly, but I think that he's a great character, and I love his dynamic with Jinx and Vi, and honestly, like with everyone. He just has a good vibe with everyone, and I like the way he fits into the story. Like, it makes a lot of sense, and I genuinely like it. I think that they did a good job with him, honestly. Not much of a character arc, though, until episode 7. Like, before that, he was kind of just there, but after episode 7, he was great. I really enjoyed him, honestly. Sevika wasn't as present this season. I feel like she was better in season 1. She wasn't bad now, like honestly, she was still great. I just think that we deserved a bit more of Sevika this season. She would have been great. She could have been used so much more into the politics between the cities. But I guess they used the time for other characters, and I don't really mind that, honestly. And finally, we have Isha. Now, I'll start the story of season 2 with Isha, so that kind of makes sense since she's a new character introduced in season 2. And so, as everything is in shambles, Jinx stumbles upon this little kid, and yeah, her name is Isha. She's this character, and this kid just starts following her, and they kind of become best friends. And so Jinx kind of sad about life and like just completely devastated. She wants to lure Vi and Caitlyn, but yeah, mostly Vi. That's the important part. To this like underground lair where she can like orchestrate her death and like have this whole big thing about her. And I really like that. I think that was done very well. That's episode 3 of Act 1. And the fight scenes were great. I really loved the tension and stuff. And so of course Jinx doesn't die, and she doesn't die because Isha saves her, because before Vi has the chance to kill her, Isha jumps in front of Jinx, and so Vi can't really hit her. She won't probably hit a child. I mean, I assume that she won't. And this is not as important to the story as I just wanted to say that Caitlyn has a great shot. When people were like, oh, she's shooting, she could have hit Isha. Guys, she has such good precision, and you thought that she was going to hit Isha even on accident? No. Like, of course she was not. She's such a controlled shooter. Like, let's be for real for a second. Let's be for real. And I was also on Caitlyn's side when the argument between her and Vi happened, because Caitlyn was mad at Vi for like valid reasons. Like, my mother died because of your crazy sister, and we had the chance to kill her, but no, you didn't let me kill her. You didn't let me get my revenge. Like, what? Like, I don't think that revenge is like the right path, of course, but it's kind of selfish. I don't know. Nevertheless, I'm kind of done talking about this. If anybody wants to actually get into this, like, I would love to see your opinion in the comments so that we can like talk back and forth about our opinions on these specific moments, which I know are kind of controversial, but yeah. So after argument between Kate and Vi, they kind of split up. Jinx is alive, and so she spends her time with Isha. They kind of become very close, and Jinx starts to heal slowly. Sevika wants to have an uprising. Isha also wants that. She goes to the uprising. She gets captured. Jinx goes and rescues Isha, and she also rescues the other people who by now look up to her and see her as a symbol. But she is attacked by a familiar face. And that familiar face is Vander. Yes, Vander is back in season 2. No, I will not be talking about his character because there was no character there, and that was kind of like a horrible idea to bring him back. Those are my thoughts, especially for the finale. Let's not get into that so soon. So Jinx finds out that Vander is alive. She goes to her sister, who is kind of spiraling because, well, she just lost Caitlyn, but she also didn't really kill her sister, which was kind of a mission, I guess. I'm not really sure why she's so upset, but yeah. And so they kind of go together. They go to this weird camp thing, which is happening in Zaun. And that's where Victor comes in, and Victor is full on being Jesus, and that's pretty weird. But yeah, he kind of has made this camp where he helps people who are infected by Shimmer and kind of just heals them, I guess. But it's kind of weird. It's kind of like a cult thing. At least that's how it seemed to me. But never mind, because he's there to help Vander, but he doesn't help him. I mean, he does help him, but then Jace comes out of nowhere and he just kind of kills Victor. And you're like, oh, okay. And then they get attacked by Noxians. And so, Yeah, and Nisha also dies, and that was the most heartbreaking moment in season 2. At least that's what I think, because I always rewatch this episode when I'm kind of feeling down, to feel even more down. But yeah, so after that, Jinx spirals because Isha was kind of the only person in her life that made her feel nice and good about herself, but now she dies and Jinx kind of blames herself for that. But also gets hurt, and Jinx also gets sent to prison. I mean, she doesn't get sent to prison, she actually decides herself that she should be sent to prison. And after that, we just kind of have these moments between the characters, like the moment between Caitlyn and Jinx. I really did like that moment in the prison when they talked. It kind of made a lot of sense. I really liked Caitlyn as a character there. That everything that she said kind of made a lot of sense, and it truly paints the fact that she is a good person. She was just blinded by rage and like sadness, I guess. But never mind, Vi goes there to try and save Jinx from the prison, and she's like, oh my god, are you okay? But Jinx just kind of escapes and runs away. Then comes the Vi and Caitlyn scene. I'm not going into detail about that. It was a nice scene though. We love Sesbian legs, yeah. Then Jinx tries to kill herself. Echo is there to save her. And I just remembered that I forgot the entirety of episode 7. So, what I failed to mention was that in episode 7, Echo, Jace, and Heimerdinger are sent to different places. I mean, Echo and Heimerdinger are sent to the same world, and it's a world where Zon and Piltover are at peace, but Vi has died. But now we also have Jinx, and she's kind of like in a weird state where she's still powder, but she is kind of crazy, just not enough crazy, I guess. But yeah, Echo has this like lovely moment with her where they dance and stuff, and he sees that there is actually a good version of Jinx out there. And it's a really cute scene. I really liked it, and I think that it makes a lot of sense. And it makes a lot of sense why he is going to be the person to help her not commit suicide. And I think that that was very great. And then we just have like the battle of the finale, and I think that it was good. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I think that it was great. It was powerful. It had all these like shocking moments, and I was always at the edge of my seat while watching it, and I think that it was amazing, honestly. But did it hit the same highs as season 1 finale? I'm not sure, but I'm going to get into that right now when I'm going to discuss the links between season 1 and season 2 and why season 1 was better than season 2, unfortunately. So, let's get into that. Okay, so let's talk about season 1 versus season 2. Why season 1 was better, how season 2 was different from season 1, and how it could have been improved or even better than season 1 if it did some of the things right. So, we first have to acknowledge the fact that season 1 is perfect. Like, I don't care. I already said that my rating for season 1 is a 9.8 at worst, and that is because the writing is spectacular, the characters are great, their arcs are almost perfect. Not to mention the flow of the episodes, even though the pacing is a bit off, and the finale. The finale is just amazing, perfect. Like, I genuinely can't find anything wrong with it. I really love the tea party scene. I think that it's spectacularly crafted towards Jinx. It makes so much sense. It literally brings the characters into her mind, and it's so fun to see. Not to mention that at the end of every act, the third episode, of course, so we're talking about episode 3, 6, and 9 from season 1, all of the episodes hit super hard. They left you wanting more, but in like a very organic way. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but I think that they were like spectacularly crafted in a way that it gave you just enough of the story for you to want more, but it wasn't the cliffhanger enough to feel unfair that they're making you wait to see the answer. However, season 1 did end with a cliffhanger, but I do think that that was the best thing that they could have done at the moment, honestly. And I already talked about the characters in season 1. We know that almost every character was utilized to their fullest, and you can clearly see that the writers followed specific themes which shaped the whole story. And I think that that's season 2's first fault, is that it doesn't have one specific theme. Like, it talks about so many things, but it never seems to have this one overarching narrative of some sort. Like, there are just many narratives put together to make this compact story. Because season 1 was all about, family. And not just family, but dynamics. The dynamic between the two cities, between the sisters, father and daughter, mother and daughter, and so on. So there was a lot you can unpack there, but almost everything focused on family, because no matter the relationship, it's still in the borders of family. But then you go into season 2 and you realize that there's no overarching narrative. I mean, there is, but it's weird. It's not clear enough for the viewer to realize it on their first watch. Like, how are we supposed to intertwine these characters? In season 1, everybody was somehow linked, even if they haven't seen each other, even if they haven't heard of each other. There were so many parallels, so many things showing that these characters are from the same world. But we don't get that in season 2, because everybody's kind of doing their own thing. So, like, we have Jinx, starting to heal from her PTSD and trauma, and trying to see that she is actually a person who's worth living for, and that she can actually do good. She doesn't just do bad. She doesn't just jinx every job. She's actually somebody who's a very competent and nice person below all that trauma. And then we have Caitlyn, who is in her dictatorship arc. She's coping with the loss of her mother, and she's trying to do her best. She's trying to do the right thing, but at the same time, she's kind of vengeful. She's kind of hateful. What she's doing is not purely right and is kind of wrong, but she can't really see that because she's blind to her own actions. And so I guess you can say, like, these two characters, they're linked in the way that they're trying to change. They're trying to see that there's more to them, that there's more to the world and stuff, but it's still a weak connection. Not to mention Vi. Vi really doesn't have a character arc in season 2. She is just there for other people's plot lines, and she does that well. She does enable Jinx to be a great character in season 2, but she herself is kind of mediocre. She's okay, like, you're always on her side. You really love to see what happens with her, but it's like the writers didn't really know where to push her story. And this is especially different from season 1, because in season 1, Vi was a great character. She has such a good narrative, and you can truly get behind her. You can truly be on her side and understand why she's going through all these hardships, but you can't really see that in season 2. And for the other characters, it's mostly the same. Jace, not important, honestly, not important enough for me to care. Victor, very weird. Mel, weird. Ambessa, okay. Heimerdinger, great. I mean, he's nice. Echo is the only character who probably has a better narrative, and I actually get interested in him, but it's way too late in the season. I'm still not attached enough to this character to care. So not to mention the fact that the plotline between the cities is basically ignored at this point, because we're talking about Jesus and powers and the Arcane and stuff, and it all just gets really weird. Not to mention the pacing. I didn't have a problem with the pacing, and I'll be real that I've never had problem with pacing while watching Arcane, but I do get where people are coming from, and I do understand. I do think that at sometimes it might get a bit annoying and kind of hard to follow, honestly. So, after all of this, I said that season 1 was a 9 out of 8. Okay, that's great, that sticks. What about season 2? Now, a lot of people really don't like season 2. Like, they genuinely think that season 2 is like a 2 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10 or at max a 5 out of 10. No, let's be for real. This is Arcane, and Arcane has a value. We did not get the season 1 of Arcane that we were supposed to get in season 2, like the same quality of story that you expect from Arcane, but this was still Arcane. It was still pretty good. The writing wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, it was okay, maybe even good, but it wasn't great. It wasn't spectacular. It didn't reach what season 1 made us hope for there to be in the future, you know? And as stated prior, the music and the art were great. I know that the most important part of a show, of course, is its story, because that's what you're watching it for the story. But at least Arcane's visuals, like, truly help out a lot. So I think when it comes to season 2, I would say it's an 8 out of 10, and I don't think that that's a bad rating by any means. I think that it's great. I think that it's very much deserved. There are some outliers in these episodes which are great. They're like the quality of Arcane season 1, and I think that most of the episodes actually have the chance, they have the setup to be perfect, to be like great, but half of them lack the quality that Arcane has presented before, and half of them are just great. And I think that they even surpass moments in season 1, because I do genuinely believe that season 2 is a way more interesting season than season 1. Like, it's so much more fun. There's so much more for you to like look at and like be like, wow, like this is so cool. Like, I loved season 1, but energy of season 2 was kind of more stimulating. It was more intriguing. I was like, yeah, like this is so cool. I really loved it. And season 1 had some of those moments, but I think that at most times it was controlled, which is why it made a lot of sense for the serious type of story that it was trying to tell. However, I think that the hype that season 2 has, it's its biggest downfall, because season 1 of Arcane is a show about Arcane. Like, it's in its own continuity of some sorts, you know? And I know that this doesn't make a lot of sense the way I phrased it, but I feel like season 2 is, yes, the second season of Arcane, but at the same time it's a League of Legends show. Like, it's a show about the game League of Legends, and I didn't feel that with season 1, but I did feel it with season 2. And you know what's sad? Is that League of Legends lore is like really interesting. It's really cool. Like, if you haven't watched Necrit, who is this one YouTuber who talks about the lore of League of Legends, like, he's truly awesome, and I would genuinely advise you to go and watch some of his videos to just see how big the world of Arcane could be and can be in the future when they make more shows and stuff. But that's the whole point. I think that Arcane season 1 was its own thing. It was starting to make its own world, but they had to make it a League of Legends show because, of course, it's based on that. They have to tie in these knots at some point, and they do. They do it in season 2, but most general viewers are not ready for the world of League of Legends, because let's be for real, that world has so much magic, has so much things that are unreal, that are pure fantasy, and it's beautiful, it's truly great, it's magnificent. But how does this tie into Arcane? I feel like the first season was so grounded, it felt so real, and I was like, wow, this can actually happen in real life. I can see these characters and I can feel their struggles. I feel like they could be living on my street, you know? I mean, not on my street, of course, because, yeah, but they felt real. They felt like they were people. They felt like they were part of some world which could be real here. But then we have season 2, and season 2 doesn't feel real at all. Season 2 feels like a cartoon, and that's what it's supposed to be. But taking these characters who felt real and just putting them in a non-real setting, it kind of upsets the balance, the thing that you have imagined for the show, because you would think that, wow, this show is now not real. It's weird. There's magic, there's the Black Rose and stuff. We have Victor being basically Jesus, having these weird powers. We have Vander coming back, which is not the problem. It's him coming back for the 5th time and being this smooth, weird design. I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on a tangent right here, but Vander's second design, when Victor reincarnates him, you know, when he becomes like a robot thing, that's such a bad design. That's the most horrible, most horrific thing that I have ever seen in the entirety of Arcane. Like, I love every single thing about the art, the design, the music of Arcane, but that Vander design is horrible. It's horrific. It makes no sense from any perspective, and I absolutely hate it. It should be burned. It just ruined everything, and I think that that's the only thing that it's truly horrific from the finale of season 2, because I think that the finale in itself is great. And yeah, I just remember that. Yeah, that's the thing. When you compare the finales of season 1 and season 2, you realize just how far we have gone. Season 1 finale was this tea party between like 5 people. No, I'm wrong. 4 people, and like the dummies and stuff, and Jinx's voices, and you know, it was so grounded. And we have it ending with a rocket launch, and then we have season 2, a battle between a god, robots, humans, Noxians. We have Jinx entering through the sky. She's blasting music. Pew pew pew, you know, like people are fighting, people are like jumping everywhere, people are in conflict, they're confused, they're fighting. Then we have the Zonites coming as well to help. Then we have this whole thing like, yes, Victor is taking over, and it's so weird. Like, it's very cool. I genuinely enjoyed it a lot. I loved watching it, but I watched it and I was like, wow, this is such a good League of Legends show, which is something I didn't think about Arcane season 1. And I think that it's sad, and it's the problem, and why season 2 wasn't as good as season 1. They went way too much into the fantasy, but I honestly think that they had to do this. They had to introduce this at some point, because they can't just start a new season for a new show and just be like, yeah, so this is in the same world as Arcane. People wouldn't believe it. But now you can believe it, because we've seen like these weird things happen in Arcane which are not real, which are extremely based on fantasy, and there's not much realism behind that. So I believe season 2 was destined to fail. Not fail in the sense that it was bad, but fail when it comes to reaching the highs of season 1. It wasn't a bad season by any means, and from all the shows, I still think that Arcane as a whole is just on another level. Like the writing, the character design, the music, everything, just everything. But when we compare the seasons, only thing that comes to mind is what could have been. Season 2 could have been phenomenal, it could have been world-changing, but it was great. It was great, it was good, it was enjoyable. You could love story, love the characters, but it didn't reach the highs that it was supposed to, and it let people down. And even when the letdown is not as bad as people think, because again, it's still an 8 out of 10, we were let down on Arcane season 1, a story which was just perfect in and of itself. So if anybody asked me if they would watch Arcane or if they should watch Arcane, I would say yes. It's a great show. It's really cool. It's like actually fantastic. But you have to watch season 1. You have to watch season 1. There's no jumping that. There's no skipping that. Season 2, you should watch it because it's still great television, of course, but not as good as season 1. It's going to be a bit of a letdown, especially if you're not a League of Legends fan, especially if you're not a fan of the lore of League of Legends. You will be let down just a tiny bit. Yeah. And before I get into the conclusion, I wanted to talk about some things of the lore which I think that are very fun, very interesting. That of course Jinx is alive. We all know that. We know with the blimp stuff, and I can't wait to see where her character goes. I think that they can do a lot with that. I truly hope that she gets reunited with Echo, because I feel like that would be a great love story. I've heard that she's going to Bilgewater. I don't know if Arcane fans know what Bilgewater is, but if it's from the League of Legends lore, and it's this one island where there are a lot of like pirates and stuff, and I think that she would fit great there because it's truly a chaotic place, and we know that Jinx just lavishes in chaos. I honestly don't know what they would do with Vi and Caitlyn after this season. I think that they're still like great characters. They can have a lot of development for them in the future. I really want to see where Vi ends after watching her sister die and believing that she is dead. I truly do hope that they get reunited, or that Vi learns that Jinx is alive and she wants to find her somehow. I think that that would be a very interesting thing to see how these characters react to that. Heimer is definitely alive because that's just how Yordles work. It's in the lore, so it's kind of weird. I'm not even sure myself, but I know that he's alive from what I've heard and what I've seen from people talking. Then we have Victor and Jace. As far as I'm concerned, they're dead, and I think that kind of makes a lot of sense. I don't know where they could have gone with their story. They were kind of weird. I do kind of ship them. I was shipping them, but then I didn't, but then I did again in the finale because I think that they were very cute. Like, even not just shipping like in love terms, but they were truly like brothers. They were this cute duo. They were very nice, and I like that, I guess. And then we have Mel. I guess we have to see where she ends up in the future, as she's probably going to be a part of another series or so. It's not confirmed. I hope that she won't be, because I want to see new characters, because there's so many characters in the League of Legends lore, and characters which are so much more interesting than Mel. But it's okay. I mean, she's a great character, so I would love to see where she goes. And Noxus has some pretty cool stories and characters, so yeah, we would love to see them. Ambessa is of course dead, and I just remember that Sevica got on the council. I really want to see what happens with that. I think that that's a very interesting thing. I do hope that they start implementing more people from Zaun, because remember, she is always going to fight for Zaun in that council. She's always going to be on the side of her city, and I think that that's going to be very interesting. I do hope that we get more of her. Unfortunately, we did get very little of her in season 2, and even in season 1 we didn't get enough of her. She was a great character. She was super cool, so yeah, that's very nice. And hopefully Vander stays dead. Now, people have been talking that he also might have lived through the explosion. I saw videos about that. Hopefully not. I really don't want to see him again. And I actually didn't talk about Singed a lot. That's what I realized right now. I don't think that there's much to say about him. I just think that he is a cool like side character. He was nice. I liked the introduction of Oriana. I think that was very sweet, very cute. I liked seeing that. And hopefully she gets introduced in another series in the future, because I don't know, I like Oriana. I think that she would have a great story knowing that now she's alive. Not to mention that we didn't get any of Camille and the other League of Legends characters who are a part of Piltover and Zaun, who would have major implications for the story of Arcane. I would love to see that, like Camille, Renata Glask, more of Janna, even though she's from Shurima, but still, Seraphine, Blitzcrank, Zac, Urgot, like there's so many characters. Twitch as well. I truly hope that the rat from season 1 is actually Twitch. I think that that would be like really cool and really interesting to see. But yeah, the only thing that is left here is to conclude. So, after all of this, what is there to say about Arcane as a whole? I love the show. It's my favorite show in the whole world. I love everything about it. I love the characters. I love the stuff. and I truly hope that Riot Games makes more of these shows, and hopefully they work with Fortiche again, because Fortiche is just great as a company. I know that they have helped with cinematics, and if anyone has actually seen the cinematic that just came out with like Xin Zhao, I hope you reach out to me, because I really want to talk about that cinematic. I think that cinematic was very cool. But yeah, Arcane, great show. I would give it a combined rating of 8.5 or a 9 at highest out of 10. I guess an 8.7 would be like the most correct. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed watching this video and you agree with my points. If you don't, I would love to hear about it in the comments, and I'd get to responding as soon as I can. And remember, if you enjoyed the video, it would be great for you to like and subscribe, because it would really help out my channel. It's a new channel and this is my first ever video, so please tell me if there's any ways I can do better, I can get better. And yeah, hope you have a nice day. Bye.